Hey everyone, another quick video to illustrate an astrology, a sports prediction technique from Gambler's Dharma, and also to illustrate the virtues of live action, meaning watching an event begin with your own eyes. And in ancient days, before accurate timekeeping, before Rolex was around, the person, the doctor, the nurse would have to be there on site to see the birth. Obviously, they were on site if they were delivering the baby, but to pay attention to the clock, the moment a baby was born, but also the moment a marriage happens, the moment you start a business, the moment you take your first step out of the house, which is when your trip, your journey begins. Did you know that you can pull a chart for a journey to see how auspicious your trip will be, especially if it's a business trip, if there's something on the line, but even for a vacation, you don't want to leave at a time where the birth of that journey is poorly aspected and you might suffer delays, rainy weather, although you can't control the weather, but your trip can turn out potentially better if you started at an auspicious moment. So being live the moment an event happens gives you a deep insight into the nature of that event. And so yesterday, as I was about to leave the house, a game started on TV, and I thought, okay, let me write down the time. This was Michigan versus Notre Dame. Michigan was the favorite. Now, again, for our system, you always need to know who the favorite is because they get the ascendant in order to assign the ascendant to them. And so in this game, I looked up who was the favorite, and it was Michigan. The game started at 7:43:50. Now, when you're watching TV, it's always 15 to 30 seconds behind. So you have to account for that. So as I was watching, I was also checking on another site that is more accurate. And lo and behold, it was 15 seconds earlier than the TV broadcast. So this is the accurate start of the game. And the thing that immediately struck me was one of the techniques that I discovered in researching the 2 or 3 years I spent researching Gambler's Dharma was the use of the Navamsha, the D9 chart. Now, you may not be able to see it here, so I'm going to transpose the Navamsha into this main area. And as we do that, so now this is the Navamsha, this is the D9, okay? And one of the things I discovered is that when planets are conjoined, the degree of the Navamsha ascendant or descendant, they will affect, relatively speaking, the favorite or the underdog team. Now, what do you see here? The ascendant is at 28 degrees in the Navamsha for the location. This is South Bend, Indiana. The game happened at Notre Dame. Look at what's happening. Jupiter is exactly at 28 degrees, 45 minutes. This is, you can't get a more tight and precise conjunction. And Jupiter, regardless of how it's been behaving in the main chart the last several months, he's been very grumpy, let's say, in the main chart. But in the Navamsha, he continues to be a very positive influence. And so just looking at that alone, immediately it was clear who would win the game. And so, if you are investing in sports, as I do sometimes, as a gentleman's hobby, you can say, and you're doing it live, you have to hurry. So once you see who the winner is, the game's already happening. So if you want to make a prediction and actually place a wager, you have to go live. So by the time I noticed this, Notre Dame had already scored. But that's okay. It just reinforced this idea that look at how tight this Jupiter is with the cusp. The effects will happen immediately, right? So the closer the conjunction with the cusp, the more immediate, the more in your face the results are. And in fact, Notre Dame not only scored first, they also scored second. So they were leading 14-0, at which point I turned the game off because it was clear who would win. Now, the final score ended up being 24-17. So the other team did come back, but even though they were the favorites, they still lost by a touchdown. Okay? So a very quick and clear lesson into how to use the Navamsha. And when you see things like this, it's pretty clear indication not in spite of, but in addition to what's happening in the main chart. All right, I hope this was helpful. We'll talk soon. Bye.